What's happening, people? This is Nocturnal Thoughts. Excuse me, I shouldn't be doing that. What's happening, people? Nocturnal Thoughts. Yo, I just finished watching the Charlo, Tony Harrison conference for the third or fourth time today. And you know what, man? That conference was so funny, man. You shouldn't let those two guys talk for too long. You know what I'm saying? To me, the longer they talk, the more foolish both of them sound. But at the end of the day, very entertaining. And I agree with both of those dudes, and I disagree with both of those dudes. Man, that fight to me is kind of straight down the line, 50-50. It could have gone either way for the first fight, and for the second fight, to me, it can go either way. And I'm not the type of person that likes to disagree with judges. I feel like judges have a difficult job when you're watching something live. You know what I'm saying? Your mind can wander, or you can see things from different perspectives, or you can be, just being a judge. Being a judge at a fight is very difficult. And I tend not to argue whether I agree or disagree. I just have to let it be. And in this case, this was a classic case of where I didn't agree with the judges, but I understand. I understand enough to let it be what it is, because the way I looked at the fight was a draw. Now, when the first time I watched the fight, keep in mind, you know what I'm saying, I wasn't halfway paying attention to the fight. You know, things was going on all around me where it took away your attention. So to me, it looked like there were points where Harrison was handling his business, and then there were points where Charlo was handling his business. So I watched that fight a bunch of times, and it's one of those type of fights where, you know what I'm saying, if you're not fully engaged, if you let your mind wander off just a little bit, you know what I'm saying, you can see a totally different fight. You can watch it 10 different times, 10 different ways. Now, only one time. I guess I'm going to have to do this one more time. If you sit down with and you eliminate any distraction, and you get you a scorecard or just a sheet of paper, and you go round for round for round, and there were a couple of swing rounds that to me could have went either way, that I was giving to Charlo simply because he was the champion and there was some inactivity going, and I was basing it off of power versus aggression versus technical versus boxing skills. It went back and forth, but a lot of it leaned towards Tony Harrison the first fight. So I was not in total disagreement with the judges when they gave Tony Harrison that win. To me, it felt like a draw. To me, it looked like a draw. Now, when I watched it with a piece of paper, with no distraction, no commentation, no sound, to me, it still kind of came out a draw. I could see giving the edge to either Tony Harrison, or I could see giving the edge to Charlo, depending. You know what I'm saying? There were points in time, I want to say around 8, 9, and 10, that definitely was Tony Harrison outboxing Charlo. But the first, I don't know exactly how I scored it now because that was a while ago. But I know the first half of the fight, there was rounds that I was giving to Charlo. And like I said, I'm going to have to do that one more time. I'm going to have to sit down, piece of paper, no distractions, and score that fight one more time, just so I can set the record straight for myself, because trying to come up with the prediction for this second fight, I'm still just a little bit back and forth. I watched that fight 3 times tonight, but I was working, so I was really distracted. But every time I watched that fight tonight, in my mind, I was giving it to Tony Harrison. He was doing a lot of things right. Charlo was doing a lot of things wrong. Jermell Charlo got pulled into Tony Harrison's fight game. He was head hunting too much. He was swinging with wide looping punches too much that were very telegraphed and very predictable and easy to he basically was getting outboxed by Harrison that was baiting him in and countering him and simply beating him to the punch. A lot of times in that fight that just kind of stood out where I could see the judges would give him those rounds. But at the same time, with that being said, there were plenty of times where Jermell Charlo caught Tony Harrison. And when he caught Tony Harrison, he wobbled him. And his power definitely showed in that fight, even in the 11th round, the 7th round, the 11th round, a couple of rounds where Jermell Charlo power did show up, and he had Tony Harrison on stilts a little bit, had him on ice skates a little bit. 12th round definitely was, to me, a round that Harrison didn't look good in. He was clinching on and holding on to where the referee had to say, "Let go, Harrison, let go, Harrison, let go, Harrison, let go." And I'm like, dude, this is the 12th round. You know what I'm saying? This is the championship rounds. 11 and 12 is the championship rounds. And to me, I gave those rounds to Charlo. Now, it was a lot of, in Charlo's corner, there was a lot of panic. You know what I'm saying? And it didn't look good. There was times where James was asking him, "What's the matter, man? You tired?" And he turned around, "No, man, no, I ain't tired. Go out there and do what you got to do." There's a lot of times where James was like, "Look, man, you're trying to kill him with every single punch. You need to set things up and let it flow." And it was times where his corner seemed like they were trying to, get him into the... It seems like in the corner, they felt like he was behind on the scorecards, and it was pushing him to be more aggressive. And it made him look sloppy at times. It made him look like he was head hunting at times. It made him look like, he was fighting to come from behind. So I understand how Tony Harrison got that victory, even though in my eyes, to me, it looked more of a draw. And I would have gave the edge to Charlo because he was the champion and his power showed through enough times for me to see where he had Tony Harrison in trouble up until the 12th round. You know what I'm saying? And for other reasons too. But I'm going to do one more study on that fight and look at it as thoroughly as possible before I make a prediction for the second fight. But the press conference to me was very entertaining. It's been a while since we had a legitimate entertaining fight. I don't know the guy who was mediating it, but he had me in tears, man, trying to hype up the fight even more. Like, oh, these guys really don't like each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, how many times you got to say that? We get it. They don't like each other. I thought Harrison's, like I said, the more they talk, to me, both of them need to be able to. I don't mind people, doing the trash talk, but it has to be within some type of, to me, if it goes too far, it gets to be a little cartoonish, and people start saying stuff that's in too much of a contrast of their character, or it makes their character look too animated. You know what I'm saying? Like Tony Harrison, boy. I don't know if that's just Detroit talk. It's been a long time since I've been in Detroit, but all that, shut up, pussy, boy. It's just talking like, the more you talking, the more you sound like what you're trying to make him sound like, and vice versa. Like the more, when you talk shit to somebody, it's like I said before, when you argue with a fool from a distance, people can't tell who's who. Now, I got that straight from Jay-Z, but it's just true. Like when you argue with somebody, the longer you argue with them, from anybody that's paying attention, they start looking at both of y'all the same way. You can't tell the difference. And Tony Harrison to me was putting his foot in his mouth too much for me, because the fight was too close. The first fight was too close. And the way Tony Harrison is talking, it sounds like Tony Harrison acts like he just whitewashed him, and he didn't. He outboxed him a lot of rounds, but he got touched. I said this before. And the way Charlo is just so emotional. When you look at Charlo, he always looked like he right on the verge of crying. He wears his emotions on his sleeves. And sometimes that just isn't a good look when you let that go on and on and on and on. Like, you know, you gotta learn how to kind of marginalize yourself or maintain yourself or only expose a little bit at a time and just show a little bit. You got all that passion, hold it back and keep your cool. Because the more you try to look cool, but you being passionate, the contrast starts to make you look insecure. You know what I'm saying? But it was entertaining. I know it's going to continue to build up. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know how this fight's going to go. To me, this fight can still go either which way. But from what I seen today, what I was watching, I'm saying it could go to Tony Harrison. But you got to take into consideration he's been off for a year. He had an injury, and I don't know. I just don't know how this is going to go, but I'm going to check into it. I did want to say I do agree with Goodfellas. What's his name? Goodfellas Sports. You know, you can't keep making excuses, even if you don't like the outcome of the first fight. At the end of the day, Jermell Charlo lost. I don't like using that robbery and gifted and this and that and the third. You know what I'm saying? It's the past. Let it be in the past and let's move forward. But if you are a fan of Jermell Charlo, don't make no excuses for that first fight. Just let it be. Lay it down, put it to rest. You know what I'm saying? A loss is a loss. All you have to do is if you got the opportunity, which he does have now, you got the opportunity, you can have redemption. But you can't keep talking about that loss. And for Tony Harrison, you can't just keep gleaming over that whole ankle injury thing because it's too much of a coincidence. And a lot of people, such as myself, have a hard time believing in coincidences. But when you say, if I want to hold this man's belt and hide this man's belt, all I have to do is fake an injury, and then you come out with an injury, it's hard for you to be able to just gleam over that as if it never happened. Like, people not going to question whether or not your injury was legitimate, especially when your injury wasn't so significant that you had to get any kind of surgery, or when you're just saying it's uncomfortable and I'm not 100%. And I didn't want to put myself in a situation like a Manny Pacquiao where I fought Mayweather, lose, and then say something about my injury because nobody's going to care at that point. Well, at the end of the day, everybody know in combat sport, all athletes usually are performing with some kind of an injury, and they have to overcome it. You know what I'm saying? That's what makes you a great warrior. I understand you want to be 100%, but you got to also, when you say I could hide this man's belt by faking an injury, and then you come out with an injury that's not just, you know what I'm saying, like debilitating, where you can see like a broken arm or a shoulder rotator cuff that has to be rehabilitated, when it's something that nobody can see, and you're saying that not even the doctors really, you know what I'm saying, told you better, you told yourself you better. That's a sprain. You know what I'm saying? That's like a sprain. That's like a coach, if you was playing a sport, a coach would just tell you to walk that off. So for you to prolong this man fight and then come up with these little, you know what I'm saying, hypothetical, allegorical stories like, you know what I'm saying, I just wanted to push it to December. It looks fugazi. He trying to be funny with it. I get it, but not a good look. So I'm seeing fault on both sides, man. I'm seeing things I like and dislike coming from both sides. Both their energies right now are you know what I'm saying, I guess it's percolating, but we don't know yet. I don't know who I can roll with on this fight. You know what I'm saying? There's things that I like and dislike about both of these guys at the current time. But if I'm going to be 100% honest, with you, YouTube, as I always try to be. I like Charlo personality with the twin and all that, you know what I'm saying? And to me, Harrison is a little bit more of an annoying type of a mentality. But if he backs up his talk, I can salute it. You know what I mean? But we'll see. I don't know. Don't know these guys personally, but I'm just basing it off of what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing. To me, they both decent, solid dudes. But if you asking me to pick between the two, as far as personality wise, shit, that's tough. That's tougher than trying to call who's going to win this fight, because they both have personality traits that I like and dislike at the same time. I really haven't made up my mind yet. I really don't care. It don't matter to me who I like. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing was having me funny too. Is like they talking about, I don't like this dude, and you know what I'm saying? It's just turning into like a preschool playground fight when they start talking too long. Matter of fact, I'm starting to talk too long, so I digress. This is Nocturnal Thoughts. Have a good weekend, people. I salute. Peace.